This is the first word for March the 27th, 2022, from the chapel of the Pomacea Presbyterian Church. From Psalm 32. Happy are those whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Happy are those to whom the Lord imputes no iniquity, and in whose spirit there is no deceit. You are a hiding place for me, O Lord. You preserve me from trouble. You surround me with glad cries of deliverance. I will instruct and teach you the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye upon you. Be glad in the Lord and rejoice, O righteous, and shout for joy, all you upright in heart. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we rejoice in it. I'm grateful to be able to gather for worship with you, both online and also for all who will join us in person here at Pomacea Presbyterian Church at 8:30 and 11 o'clock in the sanctuary and 9 o'clock in the connection. Reverend Nicole Abnor is preaching in the sanctuary and in the connection, and I'll be serving as her liturgist, and also she'll be assisted in the connection by liturgists as she moves across the morning. Kate Donaldson will be the liturgist in the connection. We hope you could join with us for worship today, either in person or online. The Vesper Service will meet in person this evening at 6 o'clock in the sanctuary. It's a 30-minute service that provides time for contemplation, reading of the gospel text, the sacrament of the Lord's Supper, and also we take prayer requests there. Today is Strawberry Shortcake Sunday, and if you're able to come and join us this morning, we're serving strawberry shortcake across the morning in the fellowship hall. Everyone's invited. It's a device by which we're hoping people will also bring in canned goods and food supplies for the pantry at the Bethel Ministry to Farm Workers. By bringing them to the fellowship hall, we hope to help stock the pantry for the Bethel Farm Worker Ministry this month. They are giving out 700 bags of groceries to needy families each week at Bethel, the working poor who need these food supplements very badly. And your generosity, not only this morning, but across the week, as you may be able to drop off these food supplements to the church, your generosity makes the difference from your generosity to their kitchen tables. It's a very direct action. So we are hoping to be able to be a great blessing in that. The other programs and activities as we travel through this season of Lent, you can find on our church website at pomacea.org or by following the flow code here in this video presentation. Now I share with you the gospel lesson for this Sunday morning from the 15th chapter of Luke, beginning with verses 1 through 3 and then 11 through 32. The very familiar and beloved story, the parable of the Prodigal Son. Now all the tax collectors and sinners were coming near to listen to him. And the Pharisees and the scribes were grumbling and saying, "This fellow welcomes sinners and eats with them." So he told them this parable. There was a man who had 2 sons. The younger of them said to his father, "Father, give me the share of the property that will belong to me." So he divided his property between them. A few days later, the younger son gathered all he had and traveled to a distant country, and there he squandered his property in dissolute living. When he had spent everything, a severe famine took place throughout that country, and he began to be in need. So he went and hired himself out to one of the citizens of that country, who sent him to his fields to feed the pigs. He would gladly have filled himself with the pods that the pigs were eating, and no one gave him anything. But when he came to himself, he said, "How many of my father's hired hands have bread enough and to spare? But here I am dying of hunger. I will get up and go to my father, and I will say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son. Treat me like one of your hired hands.' So he set off and went to his father. But while he was still far off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. He ran and put his arms around him and kissed him. Then the son said to him, "Father, I have sinned against heaven and before you. I am no longer worthy to be called your son." But the father said to his slaves, "Quickly, bring out a robe, the best one, and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. And get the fatted calf and kill it, and let us eat and celebrate. For this son of mine was dead and is alive again. He was lost and is found." And they began to celebrate. Now his older son was in the field, and when he came and approached the house, he heard music and dancing. He called one of the slaves and asked what was going on. He replied, "Your brother has come, and your father has killed the fatted calf because he has got him back safe and sound." Then he became angry and refused to go in. His father came out and began to plead with him, but he answered his father, "Listen, for all these years I've been working like a slave for you, and I have never disobeyed your command. Yet you have never given me even a young goat so that I might celebrate with my friends. But when this son of yours came back, who has devoured your property with prostitutes, you killed the fatted calf for him." Then the father said to him, "Son, you are always with me, and all that is mine is yours. But we had to celebrate and rejoice, because this brother of yours was dead and has come to life. He was lost and has been found." This is the word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. This beautiful story was by the great English writer Charles Dickens, called the greatest story ever written, the gospel within the gospel. One of the things that I think happens when we read the story is we identify so very typically with someone in the story. When you read this story today, where do you see yourself in the story? With the wayward son? With the older, bitter brother? With the waiting father? At different points in our journeys, we may find ourselves in different places. One of the ways to use this story is to read it and then to pray over it. To pray for those you see in the different roles of the story in your lives, including yourself. A part of our prayer on this fourth Sunday in Lent is for this world, which God loves so much that he gave us Jesus Christ, God whose mercy is made known to us in the telling of this story. We pray for the people of Ukraine, those who are living in the midst of oppression and aggression and war, for their safety and for justice and for the restraint of evil. We pray for all who are working in terms of governing and caring for the world, serving the community. We pray for their safety and that God will use them as instruments of his peace and justice. We pray for peace in this world and justice. We also pray for those who are sick. In the hospital this week, we've been praying for Patty Knowlton, Joyce Mitchell, Wally Wilcher, and Steve Barber. We're praying also for the Whittlesey family in their son's recent loss. And we're also praying for all caretakers who are caring for the sick at home and for those who are hungry. Our little pantry, which is at the north end of the church, has been very successful in terms of providing food for those who might stop by it. But we have come to a need to restock it more frequently. So if you're able to bring by foods that can be used in the little pantry, that's a wonderful way to supplement the food shortages here in this own neighborhood of the church. I encourage you to look at our website for all of the programs and activities that are there across this season of Lent, for the upcoming services at Holy Week, starting with the celebration of Palm Sunday and the concert that afternoon, and for news of the church in general. The intercessory prayer sheet can be downloaded from our website as well, and prayer requests can be sent to prayer@palmacia.org. With joy, we announce two birthdays. Dottie Williams on March the 28th is celebrating her 93rd